I might have someone coming this evening, not positive, you never know until they show. But for this episode, welcome back to another episode of Broke Premiere, guys. If you are new to the channel, we've previously been working on my 2009 Volkswagen Routan. I ended up buying this thing for $1,300. It had 163,000 miles, had a smashed windshield. It was used as a work van, so it was covered in paint, grime, dirt, sheetrock everywhere. There was no back seats. So I went to the junkyard, got matching seats for the front and rear out of a Dodge Grand Caravan, because it's basically the same car, just this one's VW'd out. I also picked up a new floorboard to make the rear seats fit. I fixed the TIPM with an issue that the car would turn off the fuel after running for a little bit. So the TIPM got taken apart, replaced the relay in it, put it back together. Everything is tidied up on this thing. Cleaned up some of the paint, the front bumper was busted a bit. Everything's just been totally rejuvenated on this vehicle. Very content. For those of you that have been watching, obviously it's not sold yet. I think I have someone coming this evening. It's Monday right now. I listed it Saturday, probably right around 4:30. Didn't expect to get any hits. I just wanted to get it up there for some of the first people who might be interested. But I might have someone coming this evening. Not positive. You never know until they show. But for this episode, I want to focus on my new flip. This is a 2005 Hyundai Santa Fe, and it has 136,000 miles. And as you can see, it is fugly. It needs a lot of work. I got this slightly out of scarcity feeling, but mostly because it was so cheap. I just couldn't pass it up. Oh, it's a Tucson, not a Santa Fe. The Tucson's smaller. Ooh, I just realized that. Okay, that's okay. Still should be worth 4,000 or 5,000 when we're all done. Maybe even more, but this thing does need a lot of work. First things first, obviously, the paint is completely destroyed. Also, it needs 4 new tires all the way around. Looks like it might need brakes. It has a huge exhaust leak, and the guy told me he tried to replace the head gasket on it, and since then believes the timing skipped a tooth and that it's misfiring, or that there's not the correct compression going on, because basically you can get it running, you just can't keep it running, which I experienced firsthand trying to get it here. I had to start it, slam on the throttle to try to keep the gas going, keep it running, and then I had to kind of keep my throttle on and slam it into drive a little bit, drive up to stop sign, slam it in neutral, rev it a little higher, slam it back into drive, rev it. I say slam, that sounds like I was doing it really harshly. It wasn't actually that bad. It kind of was just little jerks. It wasn't that much. I did discover this damage last night when I got here. I did not realize that even existed. So that's gonna be a little more of like working with body work that I haven't done yet. I'm actually hoping to practice some Bondo and stuff, probably on that corner. Let's see how it goes. It's obviously going to need the headlights restored like the other ones. Oh, it looks like they tried to do something and they burned through. Oh, on both sides, how weird. I think it's rusted. All right, so we might just get headlights from the junkyard for this thing. The door needs to be replaced. I don't know what happened here, but it was violent. So definitely need to replace the door. Looks like there's another crack down here. Maybe some rust or something, or body filler. I don't know, it has a clean title, but I honestly didn't look too hard. I kind of convinced the guy to take $700. That's why I got it. The guy had it listed for $550. I called him, I think it was 22 minutes after he listed it. He said he already had a guy coming from an hour away that would probably be there in about an hour and a half. And I told him, well, would you take $700 if I came right now with the money? He said yes. Then when I got there, things kind of felt a little weird. I wasn't sure if he was completely in or not. So I just kind of bought it and got out of there. Here was my thought when I did that. I was thinking, if I just power washed all this clear coat off, sanded it down a little bit, and just put clear coat back on it. Not great, kind of like what I did on the Mazda, but just something to make it look decent. And then if I fix the exhaust leak, I figured I could sell the thing probably for $1,500, no questions asked, within a couple of days. So that's kind of how I buy my cars. If I can get out of it immediately, it's kind of how I try to get the deals. But this thing is kind of adding up in time. I do think the painting is going to be easier this time, just because I literally just have to do the whole thing. There's no really trying to fight it. I might try to blend these lines up here somewhere, blend the back door a little bit, but there's nothing more to it than just to do the whole thing. Like, there's really no other way around it. That back corner has to be cleaned up. It just has to be done. regardless, I thought it'd be a fun, good project. I've never messed with the timing before. I have done the one head gasket and timing belt on the Audi. So he gave me another timing belt for this. If that's the issue, I'm hoping that's the issue. I'm hoping the head's not bad. What he told me first was that he had the original head resurfaced. He started to reinstall it, and then once he was like almost down to installing the cams, he realized 2 of the 10mm bolt threads were stripped out from the shop. They didn't even tell him. So he ended up buying a whole brand new head off of eBay, installed the whole thing, and just took the cams out of the old one. Basically exactly what I did with the Audi. But he thinks maybe they slipped a tooth on the original head. He wasn't sure. All he knows is that when he started it, he couldn't keep it running, and at that point, after the second head, he gave up, didn't want to touch it anymore. So that is where we're at right now. When I was able to get it driving here, of course the check engine light was on. I don't know what those codes are, so that's kind of where I would like to start right now. See what those codes are and then kind of go from there. All right, sorry, I just cut that short. My neighbor came, moved his car, and I kind of wanted to switch the cars, basically so I could just have them next to my little work spot like usual. Anyway, what I would like to do right now is to run the codes on this car. So that's what we're gonna do right now. All right, so let's see what this thing picks up. Okay, mass or volume airflow circuit low. Mass airflow sensor signal. Oh, if he's got the mass airflow sensor unplugged or cut, that could totally cause all those issues. All right, we'll check that out. Let's see if there's anything about timing. Crankshaft position sensor. Crankshaft position, correlation, bank 1, sensor 1. Bank 1, sensor A. All right, I don't know what that means. Intake air temperature sensor 1, circuit high input. I mean, it could be at a time. It also seems that there might be some wires unplugged or snipped or something. So with all that said, I think that's where I'm gonna get started, kind of see what's plugged in, what might be snipped, what's just hung up, what's not connected, whatever it is. Try to see if any of that's existing and then kind of go from there. So I'm gonna get started with that and I'll get back to you guys. All right guys, I have been doing quite a bit of research trying to figure out what exactly is going on with this thing. I believe it's multiple things. One of the things I found out was that the mass airflow sensor and the intake air temperature sensor are the exact same thing. In this particular model, they put them together. And if you look down in there, I think there's 5, 6 pins that run to this. Normally, I think there's 3 to 4 that run in the mass airflow. Anyway, the general test to see if these things are good or bad is you unplug it. If you can start it up and it runs decently, not great, but like good enough to start and run easy, then it's usually that. If you plug it right back in and it's hard to start, hard to keep it started, it's usually the sign that this thing is shot or burned out. So I unplugged it, I started it up just fine. It was hard to maintain running, not gonna lie, but I think there's more issues than just that. But the moment I plugged it back in, I couldn't get it started easy. In fact, I ended up trying and killed my battery. It wouldn't do just as easy as the first time. So I definitely think I need to look into that. The other thing is the crank position sensor. What I realized while looking through here is that this guy basically broke almost every connector that connects to anywhere near the head when he was doing this. So he was not a fragile human being, he was very brute style guy. But if you look down here, this is the crank position sensor and I can just pull it off. So the lock on here is busted. I don't know if the crank position sensor down here is busted as well, but what I would like to do, I think probably in the next episode, is I would like to run to the junkyard and get all of these connectors. That crank one, this variable valve timing one, and whatever this one is, it looks like a temperature sensor of some sort. But I would like to go to the junkyard and try to grab all of those and replace all of them. But what I would like to do for right now is I would actually like to tackle checking this out, see if it's clean, see if it's brand new. I don't know if the whole car is filthy, so it could have been fairly brand new. The other thing I would like to do is actually take apart this connector and see if there's any screwed up wires in it, anything kind of grounding out to itself. Because as you see, he also busted this one and it looks like there's some black tape inside. So I want to take this thing apart, see if there's anything grounding out, shorting out, just see if that connector is good as well. So that's what I'm going to tackle right now, and then I'll probably get back to you guys. All right, I took apart the mass airflow connector. It looks to be pretty good. It doesn't look like he actually touched it. I think that was actually factory. But yeah, there's nothing broken or seems to be any type of damage at all, actually. So my thought is that it probably is the mass airflow sensor. I cleaned off the little tip. There was a little grime on it, but not enough that I think that would cause that much of an issue. So I'm thinking it's worn out. It's probably done. It looks to be the original. It's probably just time. But what I would like to do now is I would actually like to take out the battery because it's almost completely dead, and I want to bring it up, get it on a trickle charge so that I can be set up for this evening. So I'm gonna get at that and I'll get back to you. All right guys, sorry, I ended up cutting the video short last night. I had the seller come, they were interested, they were supposed to come back this morning and finish buying the car. And of course, there was a no-show. So I kind of waited till almost, now it's 1 o'clock, and I still have to edit this whole video to put out for you guys tomorrow. But I kept trying to wait, keep myself clean, sharp looking, so if I went to go make the sale, it would all go well. Unfortunately, they were kind of just bluffing this morning. I think they were looking at another one, trying to weasel between deals and trying to get the best one. I don't blame them for that. It just wasted a lot of my time. But what I would like to do next episode is I would like to go to the junkyard and grab all those missing cables. I also want to go around and do a run through of all the things that are broken in the car, like this cover that I broke yesterday by accident. This one that was already broken. I think there's a door handle in the car I also want to do. And I think the headlights are completely like rusted in this area right here on both sides. So there must be a bad leak by design here. As you can see, it's like all rusted inside, and then on this side as well. So I do want to get headlights because it just looks really cruddy. I don't know, we're gonna do a whole run through just to make sure. I'm gonna take pictures of everything so I don't forget, like even simple things like the cover to this bolt. I might even get these rails if it's, we'll see what I'm able to find. But I want to get everything that I can at the junkyard, the first run around. There is a huge exhaust leak I'm going to try to find. Hopefully the battery will be 100% charged by next video. I can kind of start this thing up. You guys can kind of hear how loud it is. I am still thinking it's probably at a time by 1 tooth or so. But I'm gonna pick up another crankshaft sensor at the junkyard. But I'm gonna make sure it's a wrecked car just so they didn't bring it to the junkyard for the same reason. The only reason why I'm thinking it might actually be bad compared to the tooth is just the way he took things apart. Looks like he might have busted it some way or another. He definitely wasn't a fragile type of guy. I also want to try to find the stock stereo at the junkyard. And then probably in a few episodes, I want to try to do some body work. This is the most crinkled up metal that I've had to work with besides my Audi. So I do want to start testing kind of how to shape Bondo and get the nice lines back into a vehicle. And what better than a Hyundai to kind of test those things out. Those are some of the goals that I want to do with this vehicle. Kind of regarding it, I knew I took on a big project, but I'm also kind of excited. Depending how much the paint costs, this may be the first vehicle that I actually go get a paint gun for and try to spray. It all depends. If it's like 200 bucks compared to 150 or something with the spray cans, I gotta see how much the spray cans will cost as well. I know they were a little overpriced at the first place I went to, way back for the Pathfinder. So I'm gonna see what I can get them for now, hopefully cheaper. So anyway, that's some of the goals I have planned for this thing. I'm hoping by maybe next episode or maybe the episode after that the Volkswagen will be sold. Really bummed. I thought it was done. So close. But anyway, hopefully next episode it'll actually be sold. Fingers crossed. We'll find out. And then I'll be able to do a price breakdown as usual. But anyway, guys, I think that is going to wrap up this episode of Broke Premiere. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll catch you again on Sunday. Later, guys.